Hey everyone, well, here we are again, and as you can see, the old art center is shining, and we're ready to have some fun, and hopefully give some information that's beneficial. Now, what has happened here in the last little while is it's funny how it happens, you know. It's kind of like I kind of go with the flow of the universe and consciousness as it's unfolding with a lot of people. And in the last little while, I've had several people getting a hold of me, and actually some even that I've been working with in counseling, and they've been asking me, Mel, what's the biggest mistakes that all twin flames seem to make when they come together? And I like that theme or that topic. And in a couple of cases, I actually told the people in question what I thought they were. And the more I thought about it afterwards, the more I thought of the idea. What a great idea here for a series of videos. So that's what I'm going to do. But I do want to mention here, all right, that as many of you know, the information on twin flames and the belief systems about twin flames have come under a lot of changes as of late. Some of those changes are not enjoyed by a lot of people who traditionally like to hang on to the old traditional twin flame belief systems, and they don't really accept evolution or spiritual change readily. So be mindful of the fact that I'm going to be giving information here based on my experience as a counselor and having counseled with Nicole hundreds, if not thousands, of twin flames over the last decade or so. And I can safely say we've learned some things and we've experienced even much more. So the videos I'm going to be doing are based on the experience, which I consider to be the most valuable commodity in a spiritual awakening or in a twin flame union. You don't have the experience, you can't speak with any authority at all, in my opinion, because you've never did it. It didn't happen for you personally. Okay. I have about 6 titles here. I'm going to start with numero uno. In my opinion, what is the biggest mistake, the number one on the list that all twin flames make when they come together in their twin flame connection, and that is they try to put it together like a traditional relationship. And what I mean by that is each and every one of us, prior to a twin flame connection or one of these intense connections, only before I get into it, I want to add something here. This video doesn't just apply to twin flames. We all know that nowadays on YouTube, especially in the twin flame community, if you don't add twin flame into the title, you're going nowhere with it, all right? Nobody's going to listen to it if it doesn't have twin flames in it. So this type of connection happens to the general population who know nothing about twin flames. It happens in the general population to people who don't even know what a soulmate is, all right? So it can happen to anyone at every level, at any time, in any place, in anywhere on the planet. And it is. Thousands of these connections are happening every day. And what we don't have is enough information to be able to reach out to people to be able to cover all of the aspects. And the other thing that I want to mention is that because I'm going to be speaking from experience, all right, and I'm going to be sharing, and you know that I speak right up front. I call it like I see it. If you don't like it, tough titty. That's my feeling about it. So be prepared. If you don't want to listen to information that may upset you and you're a fragile little fluffy, and you're at that point where you can't handle too much dookie thrown at you in the way of information, don't bother listening to the videos. Not my intention to step on anybody's toes, but in order to give the information, it's inevitable that I will, and I don't do it intentionally. When I'm doing it intentionally, you'll know, for sure. Okay, the number one mistake that twins coming together are making is trying to put it together as if it were a traditional relationship. Now, what I mean by that is every one of us, as we grow up start having relationships with people, we start acquiring belief systems, behavior patterns, positive, dysfunctional, functional, in regards to relationship. Along the way, we add in concepts, ideas, and ideologies about love, relationship, and sexuality. This is nothing new that I haven't talked about before. But in this particular situation, in these connections, what I've noticed as a pattern, and it happens to everyone, and I see it happen time and time again, I've actually sat and counseled with people, and they know they're in a twin flame connection, and they will sit there and they'll go back and forth like a traditional relationship couple, arguing about this point, or he said that, or she said this, and he did that, and he did this, and we got this going on, and we can get together for a period of time. We talk about it. We talk about the issues that are coming up. We do this, we do that. We even ask a friend, and that's even worse. Don't ask your friends about any of this stuff because they haven't got a clue what you're talking about. And they're going to think you're some kind of a Fruit Loop looking for a nut job or something along that line. They just don't get it. So what happens is, after a while, you actually create the people that come together because you're attempting to put this into a traditional relationship format. You actually create what's now called, on the situation of the twin flame, you actually create between the two of you the runner-chaser, what's called the phenomena. In reality, there's no such thing as a runner and chaser, but the two individuals, because they're trying so desperately to get this into a relationship format, and usually that relationship format takes the form of two people living under the same roof. Now, here's where people need to start understanding something here. And if I accomplish nothing else over the years, I'm going to be on YouTube. I'm going to keep hammering away at this concept. And I'm going to hammer, and I'm going to hammer, and I'm going to hammer at it until some of you start getting it. And it's this. You can't take these intense connections that are manifesting at the highest soul vibration of two individuals and bring it consciously with the concepts you have in your mind, your belief systems, and your ideologies, your philosophies, your cultural belief systems, your racial belief systems, and bring it together in a traditional relationship based on those facts. It won't work. In the dynamics of it, what's going to happen is you create the runner-chaser type of situation that you see so much, as I just mentioned, up on YouTube. All right? And then you get a whole pile of people creating information on the dynamics and the runner and the chaser, which is totally illusionary information. Even the information that I've put up on the runner and chaser, which is still up on YouTube. I left it up because there are some people who are still there. As I talk about it now, it sounds like I'm in a contradiction with my own information, and I am, and I admit it. And that's the way it should be, because as you're evolving and growing, you should actually find yourself contradicting yourself, especially if you're doing YouTube videos and you're growing and evolving. You should be contradicting yourself at some point. But I leave them up because there are people at many different stages and levels of understanding, and that's why I don't take them down, in case anybody's curious on that point. So anyways, as people go on, they're creating this dynamic of it. The bottom line is what they're doing, and I've seen this happen on both sides of the fence, all right? They both take control. They forget that it begins at the top, at the soul level, all right? Which, I must add, must incorporate some concept of what some of you may call the higher self, the divine self, the God self, the Godhead, the higher power, whatever label you want to call it. You can even call it God if you want. He's not proud. He'll let you do that. Whatever. He doesn't mind. She doesn't mind. Whatever. And once you understand that you've taken over control of it, and I know this for a fact, is that higher part of yourself is simply going to stand back and let the two of you go at it. And I've seen the dynamics of two people trying to get this into a relationship format go on for years, and I'm not bullshitting anybody. I've actually talked to people who have been doing this for 5, 6, 7, would you believe, the ultimate. I've actually seen someone go 15 years. Yeah, that's right, peeps. 15 years, all right, trying to bring the dynamics of a twin flame connection together, all right? And the reason that this person continued with it is because she was told some bullshit by some so-called expert on YouTube that once you meet the twin flame connection, that's it. It's the one. There can never be another one, all right? And this is one of the reasons why I'm on YouTube, for that reason, and that reason right there. Because of the illusionary belief systems that people are putting into it, and people are buying into it, who are open, they're naive, they don't know, and they get taken in. And what I find is a lot of people don't have a sense of responsibility when giving information, especially on the twin flame connection. They do it because they want a following, or they want to do this, or they want to make a lot of money, or whatever the hell they're doing it for. And this is the issue that's come up. So what happens in this particular situation, the dynamics of this can go on, and people will go to the point, I've even seen people go to the point where they've gone to, if you can believe it, a marriage counselor. They're in a twin flame connection here, okay? Gone to a marriage counselor, spend X amount of dollars with a marriage counselor, and didn't get squat out of it because there's no way a marriage counselor, unless the marriage counselor is in a twin flame connection or union with a partner that has gone through with him or her the whole dynamics over an extended period of time of the twin flame connection, can be of assistance to those people. So this is what goes on. And then the other option that I've seen people doing is they'll go to members of their family, but in most cases they'll go to close friends and try to get the close friend to give them some information, and they become even more confused. So this is what the number one big mistake is at this particular point in time. So somebody's going to say, okay, well, that's wonderful. How do you resolve the situation at this particular point without, without going anywhere and doing anything? The first thing that I recommend that everybody do once they've tried bashing their head against the wall and bringing it together in the format of a traditional relationship is to remember this, okay? The connection, the twin flame connection, the priority, I'm saying this 5 times, priority of it was never to bring two people together for a traditional relationship based on the dynamics of what the two people think is the outcome of that connection. Now, did you get that? I'll repeat it, all right? The situation is that the twin flame connection was never for the purpose of bringing together two people in a relationship format based on the dynamics, thoughts, and belief systems of the two individuals that are involved. If the dynamics of the situation are going to evolve to a relationship, and in many cases they do, it will not be in the format of a traditional relationship as it was in the past. Based on what aspects? Love, relationship, and sexuality as you knew it. So along the way, what has to happen? That concept, love, relationship, and sexuality as you knew it, is the problem. I hope this is sinking into some people. Love, relationship, and sexuality as you previously knew it prior to the twin flame connection is the problem. Okay? I'll tell you what. Take a look around you. Take a look at the relationships that are in your surroundings. Have you noticed that a lot of relationships are dysfunctional? People are staying together for the children. They're staying together because it's convenient. They're staying together because they don't have a monetary situation to get out of it. They're staying together because it's in their cultural belief system, or they're staying together because it's a religious belief system that keeps them together. This is not a society that is going in an appropriate fashion. That's why these twin flame connections or these vibrational soul-to-soul connections have happened in the first place. All right? So that change can be brought individually to the people at hand. And I want to add this part in. In a good many cases, all right, what happens is the individuals that come together, and I've seen this happen where a lot of them come together and they come from two different political structures or two different races. There's even a language barrier. They've got all kinds of other restrictions. They're 5,000 miles apart. And what do these people all want to do? They all want to put it together in a traditional relationship belief system because they have this intense feeling going on with this other person. So they automatically assume that this is what is going to take place. They want to take and put it into a relationship format. And that's the terms that they think in. And the more they think in those terms, the more frustrating it gets, and the more they create the situation. So this dynamic that I'm just speaking of right now creates what's called the false twin. All right? Because I'm going to tell you something, folks. In a lot of cases, these connections that are a far distance apart, or even being close together, were never intended initially in that particular connection to come together in any form of a relationship. It was basically just to bring the two people together as an opportunity to start healing stuff. What stuff are they healing? Remember that thing I said about love, relationship, and sexuality? Well, somewhere along the line, if you're going to get into these dynamic connections and you're going to be in a twin flame connection, whatever label you want to put to it, you have to go through the healing process, the changing process, and the growth process of what? Love, relationship, and sexuality as you previously knew it. Now, am I not making friggin' sense here, or what? Wow, I just lit up like a Christmas tree. Did you see it? My head just went on fire here. So, what I'm trying to say to you is, you need, besides absorbing the information that I'm giving you, let it sink in, all right, is understand that everybody, without exception, because this is such a new thing, okay, people are going to say twin flames have been around for thousands of years. No, they haven't, all right? They haven't been around for thousands of years at all, all right? The dynamics and the intensity of the connections is far superior today than what it's ever been in the past at any time, and I don't give a sweet fart who says it otherwise. Is a sweet fart possible? Yeah, you'd have to eat a lot of fruit, I'm told. Dry sense of humor, what can I say? Anyways, back to what I was saying. The idea here is some of these connections, all right, are simply for the healing process of your present love, relationship, and sexuality. And think about it for a moment, all right? How many of you have had this twin flame connection? And how many of you have taken every avenue, every doorway, every possible way you could wangle, maneuver, hustle, wiggle, attempt, manipulate, coerce, chase, run away, to try to get this thing to go or not to go together? How many have done it? Every bloody one of you have done it. And you can go into any twin flame group on Facebook and you can see it every day. You can see it every day. That's why I'm expecting this video should get hundreds of thousands of views. All right? It should. It won't, but it should. The situation is because you need to understand the mechanics. You do not have to be an expert on it, but you do need to understand the basics of the connection that you're in, all right? And it's not formulated to the traditional relationship format that you have in your consciousness, your belief systems, your ideologies, and your philosophy. If you understand that point alone, there's a good chance you can make it. The second point that you need to understand is it may not, in that connection, evolve at all into a relationship. But that doesn't mean it's not a blessing that's being presented to you by that higher aspect of yourself. All right? Now, that was number one. Giving you a piece of information. I'm going to stop here because there's a time when you need to stop and digest and let it sink in. And I've made my point 2 or 3 times here. And a couple of times, and a few of you will notice during this video, that when I hit the apex of the vibrational download that you needed to receive, I changed my frequency and I lit up like a Christmas tree. That was for the purpose of sending you the message non-verbally. A non-verbal message is energetic in nature. You would feel it as you hear it, and it would reach you deep within your core. If you had that happen during the course of this video, you heard what I had to say, you felt what I had to say, and as you felt it absorb into your energy body and your body, it also went into your etheric body. And guess what, my friend? It loosened up some of that love, relationship, and sexuality, old dysfunctional patterns that you have within you, and loosened them up so they can be released. Wonderful stuff, isn't it? Have a great day, everybody. This was number 1. Number 2 is coming.